right, breaking news. Yes, the BNL, yes, the Biafra Nations League has captured a strategic oil installation as Nigerian government scrambles. All right, good morning, people. Good afternoon, good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome back to Expose News TV. Yes, my people, always here to give you live updates on how things they be. Going into the details without further ado. Yes, the Biafra Nations League has seized control of a major oil installation in the Niger Delta area region rather, and of course it's a major severe blow to Nigeria's economic lifeline. The attack took place in the morning as the forces overtook the facility after a brief standoff with the security personnel. My people who say you hear I'm a brief standoff, it was something that was brief and coordinated. It wasn't an anyhow thing that you would wake up to do. Okay, yes, the oil installation, which is one of the largest in the region, account for a significant portion of Nigeria's crude oil production and the revenue. The takeover has sent shockwaves. Of course, my people, you would not hear this on the news. You would not hear this anywhere at all because that is what it is. With fears of production disruption and a spike in global oil prices, experts have estimated that the halt in operations at the facility could cost the country millions of dollars in revenue daily. My people, which we know that these millions of dollars in revenue has not been even coming into the country. Things are getting worse. Where is all the money going to? Where is every income that comes into the country going into? My people, it just lets you come to a full-time understanding that everything is a complete waste of time. Even if you were to allow it to keep going, or the production were to keep going, the country would still be wallowing in debt, and that is the truth of the matter. Okay, we continue with without wasting much of your time. It says here that the Nigerian government already grappling with the resignation of the military control and forces. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared, of course, the Biafra movement a national threat, and emergency meetings have been held to address the crisis. However, with security forces overwhelmed and demoralized, the government response has so far been limited to issuing threats of retaliation. My people, on a low key, you should just be listening to these things on a low key because the takeover, the full-time takeover for the Biafra independence and freedom is as close as it can be. And I hope that you people are actually taking note and getting ready for it, because at this point, we are on the verge of creating something extraordinary. I repeat, something extraordinary that you might not be so surprised at the end, so that you would be in view of this particular movement that is taking place. It says here, of course, it is a big victory for the Biafra movement, and it says that this is just the beginning. Say the spokesperson for the BLA. Nigeria's stranglehold on our people and resources will end. And that is the truth of the matter. This is the aim of everything, to make sure that everything comes to an end, because these people have held down everything that sings or wallows close to the movement of the Biafra movement or anything Biafra land resources. They have held it down and have sworn life and death not to allow us move forward on any ground. And that is just the truth of the matter. They have sworn here and there to make sure that things do not work out. My people, we are not on that level of seeking to make things better or smoother. We have gone with dialogue for the longest of times and it has not worked out. My people, it is time to go towards the way that would make everybody shiver with everything that is happening, and that is just the truth of the matter. And hopefully we will get the desired response that we need. We will get the response that we need, because even at this point we are making moves. We are making big moves, and we are going to actually succeed in everything we are doing. Okay, my people, the next set of things you'll be hearing is and will be the movement upgrades, and the PM are making a full-time broadcast on everything that concerns the movement. All right, be very careful to listen attentively and enjoy. Thank you.
Often with poorly defined boundaries. Such machinations by the Nigeria government have been responsible for the spate of boundary-inspired communal clashes in Biafra land, which is relatively absent in the north. The United States of Biafra will reunite communities along natural and historical boundaries and bring an end to boundary disputes. Aside from killings directly conducted by Nigeria government, various Fulani-affiliated terrorist groups such as Boko Haram, ISWAP, Fulani herdsmen, in their desire to displace indigenous people and take over their lands, are invading communities and slaughtering them in a scale never seen before. For example, many Fulani installed kings and political appointees forcefully seize indigenous people's lands and transfer the lands to Fulanis. The Oba of Benin is reported to have sold in 3 years 1,200 acres of land to Aligoke Dangote, and Dangote trucks are used to ship in Fulani terrorists into these lands, from where the Fulanis operate and unleash terror in the neighboring communities and the entire coastal region, especially in Ekpa State, former Delta State, where the kidnappers in Ekpa land come from Benin, former Edo State. The Fulani terrorists and kidnappers in Awo, in Abovo County, reportedly will make you cook for them, cook for the terrorists, and have you watch them rape your wife in order to spare your life. And you have to pay 5 million naira for them to release your wife to you. Furthermore, kidnapping and rape by Fulani herdsmen in several communities in Delta State like Ibide and Avre in Isoko have been reported. Such attacks have contributed to farmers not being able to access their net lands, resulting in widespread hunger and poverty. Repeated attacks by Fulani terrorists and killer herdsmen in 2001, 2010, and 2023, and early part of 2024 in Uweru Kingdom in Urobo Isoko led to over 300 persons losing their lives. In the eastern flank of the United States of Biafra, Fulani terrorists are operating unchallenged as they have established terrorist cells at Obanliku, Obudu, Bumaji, Ogoja, Akampa, Mbak, which they renamed Nasarawa, Bogobri, where they sell human parts of those they killed, particularly those that are unable to pay ransoms. Often the military is accused of complicity or in the minimum unwilling to prevent or stop these atrocities from happening. It was on the account of this that General T.Y. Danjuma famously said that the military colludes with the invading terrorists, and that if we wait for the military to protect us, we would all die. And he consequently asked indigenous people to explore opportunities for self-defense. And that's what we are doing. We are not committing terrorism. Rather, we are defending ourselves against terrorism. And Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is not inciting violence and is not committing terrorism. Rather, he was sensitizing his people against terrorist threats. In the same vein, our Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, is not committing terrorism. Rather, he is defending his people against terrorism. I stand here to say that all over the world, killing people is called homicide, and it's a crime. But in Nigeria, Fulanis are killing people all over the country. They are committing homicide, but the Nigerian government doesn't treat their killings as homicide. Rather, they give them all manner of entitlement, okay? Rather, what they treat as terrorism is you defending yourself. So, Nigeria government wants you to let Fulani kill you. In fact, they want you to bend your neck so that when Fulani strikes you once, your head falls off. And we said we wouldn't do that. And because of that, we are hell-bent defending ourselves against terrorism, including against Britain, okay? BBC interviewed Ahmadu Bello in 1964. And if you listen to that interview, you will see that Nigeria was never one country. And Britain forcing us to be in the same country is exercising futility. Since the April 14, 2014 abduction of the Chibok girls and Nigeria government's refusal to rescue the girls, Boko Haram and other Fulani invaders have acted with so much impunity, leaving extreme savagery in their trail. October 30, 2024, the press reports that Fulani invaders have taken over the largest Nigerian military training camp in the north. There is no word yet from the government. Even the blind can see the game plan. As Nigeria deployed its military down south, foreign invaders overrun the north. The entirety of the confederating states of Biafra have come to the realization that without state autonomy, it is impossible for us to exercise full control over our land, which makes it easy for grabbing by invading terrorist headers who, despite being armed, also enjoy protection from the military if indigenous people are to confront them. The political and economic marginalization of people of Biafra are well documented in sections 1 and 2 of the Biafra Declaration Handbook, and a few of them are listed here. The section titled Man's Inhumanity to Man, Nigeria's 1999 Constitution, a travesty, narrates how Nigeria's exclusive list is a grand plan to dispossess us of our natural inheritance. It is noteworthy that while the Nigeria government has added every imaginable resource in the South to the exclusive list, comparable resources in the North are left under the control of the North, such that oil, gas, and solid minerals, including salt, in the South are in the exclusive list and therefore under the control of the Nigeria government. Whereas similar resources in the North, for example, gold in Zamfara, is not controlled by the Nigeria government, it is controlled by Zamfara people. While Nigeria government cuts away the proceeds from oil and gas exploration, our people are left to suffer the environmental degradation caused by exploration and production activities and the associated oil spills that have ruined aquatic life, fishing, and access to potable water in the region. Preceding the 1999 Constitution was Abuja 1989 Declaration that set out an Islamic agenda to transform Nigeria into an Islamic state. They sought to make Nigeria a member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, ensure that Muslims control strategic positions within the country, and ultimately have Nigeria ruled by a president and vice president of the Islamic faith, a feat they have achieved with the 2023 selection and coronation of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Yerima Shetima as president and vice president, respectively. Aside, many indices of religious incompatibility abound and frequently lay bare the deceit of one Nigeria. Times without number, Christians and Biafrans are killed by the Islamists in Nigeria over events that happen outside Nigeria. Notably, Nigeria was the only place in the world where Christians and Biafrans were killed over the U.S. war against Taliban in Afghanistan in 2001. Whereas in other parts of the world, people protesting against the war burnt only American flags and George Bush's effigies. Likewise, a Danish cartoon of Prophet Muhammad in Denmark in September 2005 meant that many more Christians and Biafrans had to be killed by the Islamists in Nigeria. Between 2006 and 2007, hundreds of Biafrans were killed in various Islamist protests against the Danish cartoon of Prophet Muhammad in the north, notably on February 18, 2006 in Maiduguri. Northern states started implementing Sharia law after Nigeria swore in a president of the Christian faith, Olusegun Obasanjo, in 1999. States in the north, led by Zamfara State, started implementing Sharia law in 2000. And by 2002, it quickly spread across the north, and its spread was accompanied by religious violence against Christians, resulting in the massacre of thousands, most of them Biafrans. The Sharia law in the north under Obasanjo was the northern Islamic states' protest over having a Nigeria president of the Christian faith. Obasanjo had promised that Sharia implementation will fade away. Rather, it has flourished. The North has created Hizbah police to enforce Sharia law, With the enforcement of Sharia, they destroy businesses owned by Christians and Biafrans in the north. Nigeria was founded as a secular state, which it has lost by the impunity of Sharia law in the north and other excesses of their Islamic agenda. Today, they want to make Sharia law a federal law. As the month of October 2024 draws to a close, the Islamists in the National Assembly introduced a bill to make Sharia law a federal law. Despite the turmoil in the country, they are moving full speed with their Fulanization and Islamization agenda and don't give a damn about those resisting their agenda. Also, in many respects, Olusegun Obasanjo created the prevailing political succession challenges in Nigeria when he single-handedly prevented his vice, Atiku Abubakar, from succeeding him in 2007. Obasanjo sponsored someone else, Yar'Adua, who would die only 2 years into his presidency, making the Fulani accuse Obasanjo of knowing that Yar'Adua would die and consequently demanded the presidency returns to the north, even though Yar'Adua's vice, Goodluck Jonathan, constitutionally becomes the president in the event the president vacates the office by death. Given that implementation of Sharia in Nigeria was under a Yoruba president and a Muslim-Muslim pair also under a Yoruba president, among other things, we can confidently conclude that Yorubas have served as willing tools for Islamizing Nigeria and shortchanging the South. August 23, 2024, as reported by Sahara Reporters, Tinubu government excludes Southeast institutions as NEL Fund publishes student loan disbursement to 19 universities and other higher institutions. Practically excludes both Southeast and South-South, with the exception of University of Benin. Tinubu appears ready to continue with the same pattern of exclusion Biafra territories, particularly the Southeast, suffered under Buhari. Of course, long ago, Ahmadu Bello boasted that any president who is not from the South to rule Nigeria must be employed to fulfill their Islamic agenda. The politics of exclusion of the Southeast and South-South have been common throughout Nigeria's history, and successive governments have pursued it with fervent fervor. But it particularly took a new dimension under the Buhari government. During Buhari's tenure, he borrowed money from international lenders, including 16 trillion naira meant for poverty alleviation, and spent all to the exclusion of the Southeast and South-South. He also created new federal universities, and none of those universities was in the Southeast. Many people recall how the COVID-era palliatives were given to other regions, but not to the Biafra territories of Southeast and South-South. No other group of people in the world can take even 1% of the maltreatment Biafrans have endured in Nigeria. Imagine Yoruba contributing nothing to Nigeria, but in a position deciding who to include or exclude in the scheme of things. Or these shenanigans from Nigeria make our freedom inevitable. What is the value of life if it is so bare and so ridiculously deprived and devalued? In addition to the pain marginalization and religious incompatibility have caused, cultural incompatibility is even as ominous as anything else we have discussed. Many people argue that Fulanis value cattle above and beyond human lives. This was recently a subject of discussion at the Nigeria National Assembly. Such value system has wreaked untold havoc on millions of Nigerians and Biafrans. The Fulani disregard for human lives underlies their propensity to commit genocide at scales not seen in modern human history, which makes it seem like we are reliving the Stone Age again. Hundreds of Biafrans were killed between 1993 and 1998 in northern Nigeria because of Moshood Abiola, who was believed to have won the June 12, 1993 election that was subsequently annulled. Many more Biafrans were also killed when Abacha and Abiola died between June 8 and July 7, 1998. On April the 24th, 2011, more than 1,000 Biafrans were killed after Goodluck Jonathan, a Christian and Biafran, was declared winner of the Nigeria presidential election over Fulani Muhammadu Buhari. Muslim youth went on rampage in northern towns and cities. Among those that died were Obinna Okpo Kiri, who returned from London to participate in the National Youth Service Corps program and was posted to Bauchi State. Also killed was Eukaria Remi, a 2010 graduate of the University of Nigeria, serving in Damaturu, Yobe State. Several of these Islamist-inspired killings are spread over northern Nigeria and can occur at any time without notice. Other instances include Fulani invasion of communities in Biafra land, including Ehamufu, Izombe, Obanliku, Obudu, Bumaji, Ogoja, Akampa, Mbak, Bogobri, Ibide, Avre, Uweru, and other places, as well as Fulani killings and slaughtering of people who are unable to pay ransom, and in many instances, even after paying ransom. It does not make sense making references to one Nigeria when it is obvious that Nigeria is not one, has never been one, and will never be one. Anybody that listened to Ahmadu Bello and his doctrine of Igbo hate and exclusion as he encapsulated in his notorious interview with the BBC in 1964, which is the template the Fulani has been acting out, as evidenced by Yerima Shetima's late infamous phone call with Ibikunle Amosun, and still thought there was a country called Nigeria or one Nigeria, that still believed the disparaged group belonged together with the disparaging group, must share some responsibility for the avoidable carnage from the forced union of people that have nothing in common. In the north, all Biafrans are identified as Igbo. So when you hear Ahmadu Bello mention Igbo, don't think you are not included because you don't see yourself as Igbo. When it starts happening, the North doesn't separate the man from Monisha from that from Uyo or Aba. Neither do they separate the man from Enugu from the one from Calabar, just as they don't separate the man from Owerri or Port Harcourt from the man from Esan, Warri, or Yenagoa. The North sees all of us as one. They only divide us as a tool to weaken us and cheat us. We cannot be second-class citizens in our native country. we would all embrace diversity if it means live and let live. But this is not the case. Diversity in Nigeria means die so that Fulani may live. They want to kill us and take over our lands. For Fulani to grow their cattle rearing business, they want to ruin our crop growing business. They feed their cattle with our farms, and the Nigerian government does not think that this is unacceptable. They kill us, and the Nigerian government has never made any effort to stop the killing or fish out the killers. Rather, the government goes after anyone with ability to protect his or herself. They say they want to dip their Quran in the Atlantic Ocean, and they are meticulously pursuing that agenda. And nothing will stop them except we will rise up to stop them. Of course, as we are doing. August 26, 2024,